What's up, my soldiers? It's WildBlueYonder, and today I'm going to explain to you what the Air Force Academy Prep School is. So most people know what the Air Force Academy is. The Air Force Academy is a 4-year bachelor's degree program where once you graduate, you get to commission into the Air Force. The Air Force Academy is a military school. You have to wear uniforms, you have to abide by different rules, and that you'll have to maintain a physical standard while you're there. There's also hundreds of clubs, there's a flying team, there's a glider program, there's lots of different activities that you can do. As a cadet, you'll be expected to lead, maintain a GPA, you'll be expected to maintain physical standards, maintain a character standard, and just generally develop yourself as an officer. If you apply for the Air Force Academy, but you don't get in, whether that be because of physical standards or maybe your education, then they might send you to a different program called the Prep School. The Prep School is I won't say just like, but it's modeled after the Air Force Academy at a much smaller scale. Instead of 4,000 cadets, it's only 200. And they're going to focus on your academics primarily, and as well as your physical capabilities. The Prep School is a 10-month program that runs between July and about May, and it trains you on these two areas primarily. Once you graduate the Prep School, you may be nominated and appointed to the Air Force Academy. Then you'll progress into your first year. So I just finished the Air Force Academy Prep School. I just finished the 10-month program, I graduated, and now I have about 5 weeks before I go into my class of 2022 Air Force Academy experience. Now when you're at the prep school, you'll be referred to as a cadet candidate. And of these 200 cadet candidates, there's about 3 or 4 different types of people who are there. There'll be the athletic recruits. So these are your soccer players, football players, basketball, lacrosse, swim team. After the athletes is the diversity recruits. So if you live in an area where most people don't have the opportunity to go to the Air Force Academy, they know that you might have potential to be a great officer or a great leader, you have an interesting story, you're from a different country maybe, like we have a lot of different cultures and different diverse people. That's number 2. You might be a diversity recruit. Number 3 is prior enlisted airmen. So if you are a prior enlisted airman, you were enlisted in the Air Force and you are still under the age of 22, you can apply for the Air Force Academy Prep School. You can apply for the Air Force Academy under the age of 23. The reason why it's 22 is obviously because you're going to spend a year at the prep school, and then you need to still make that standard of under 23 when you go to the Air Force Academy, if that makes sense. And number 4 is a very small amount of people who are just there. They have good grades, they were physically fit, they had a pretty good record in high school, they were involved in a few different activities. However, they just might need a little bit more help academically or physically, whatever the case may be. So they might send some more people in that 4th category to the prep school. I would say most of the people are football players, basketball players, any type of recruited athletes. And then second would probably be the diversity recruits. Then we have about 30, maybe 40 prior enlisted airmen. There's lots of different opportunities. You're always going to be meeting new people. It was a great experience overall. It's going to be challenging. Nobody just breezes through the Air Force Academy or the prep school. And if you don't think about quitting at least once a day, then something's wrong with you because everybody thinks about it. So what you need to do to survive the prep school is to have a good foundation and a lot of friends. Reach out for help whenever you can and use anybody around you for help. You need to turn to your left or your right, find somebody who knows how to do it, somebody who's done it before, somebody who's good at whatever your problem is, and ask them for help. Okay, so you're here at the prep school. You're going to show up in July for basic training. Now, a lot of recruited athletes, they get told that they don't have to do basic training. You won't have to do push-ups. You won't have to wake up at a certain time. You won't have to wear uniforms. That's not true at all. Everything that we do, you do. So you'll be waking up at the crack of dawn, you'll be eating the same food we do, wearing the same uniform, running with us, doing push-ups with us. Everything that everybody else does, you will do. They thought that they would show up, this would be a normal college experience, they would just be able to wear civilian clothes, like regular clothes, they would just wake up whenever and have just a free, nice college experience. No matter who you are, where you're from, you'll have the same experience. While you're at the prep school, you'll be paid about $1,000 a month. If you're a prior enlisted airman, you'll be paid whatever your pay grade was. But if you're anybody else, then you'll be paid about $1,000 a month. So you make about 10 grand. Prior enlisted airmen make about 14 to 15 grand, maybe a little bit more. Some of this money will be deducted from your first paycheck just to pay for all your books, school supplies, and uniforms. Basic training overall is easy. All the in-processing stuff is pretty easy. Just go with the flow, follow the rules, and just do what you're told. Once classes kick up, you'll be doing gateway exams. So you'll take a few exams to just test how much you know. You'll take one science exam, one English exam, and I believe 1 or 2 math exams. The science exam is on basic stuff. If you know how to read graphs, if you know the basics of chemistry and the basics of biology, you should be fine on that. English is just a basic vocabulary test. I think it also has some reading comprehension in there as well. For math, you'll have one test that's broken up into 2 parts. So the first part will be basic algebraic concepts, and the second part will be trigonometric concepts. If you haven't taken trigonometry, then you can leave the trigonometry side blank, and then they'll just put you in trigonometry at a later time in the year. Now, it doesn't really matter how well you do in these exams. If you do really well, then they'll put you in a far more advanced class and they'll expect you to do more work. If you don't do so well, then they'll put you in an easier class that's a little bit of a slower pace. Now, it doesn't matter if you get put in the slow class or the advanced class, you still have the same chance of getting a nomination or an appointment into the Air Force Academy. All they want to see is a general increase in your GPA and in your performance throughout the year. It doesn't matter where you started, it matters where you end up. Most people get put into the same basic classes. Unless you do really terrible, then you'll be put in the slow class, or really good, you'll be put in the advanced class. Hopefully that makes sense. So on Monday you might have chemistry and algebra, and then on Tuesday you might have trigonometry and English. You'll have 2 alternating schedules on each day, so it depends on what class you have on each day. Throughout the year, you're gonna have 2 math classes, 1 science class, and 1 English class, but you'll never have math on the same day. In my first quarter, I had 2 algebra classes, I had 1 chemistry class, and I had a personal writing class. First quarter was hard for me, because I had to get back into the school mentality. In quarter 2, I had trigonometry 1, another algebra class, another chemistry class, and an argumentative writing class. In the third quarter, I had trig 2, another algebra class, another chemistry class, and argumentative writing 2. And then in the fourth quarter, I had calculus 1. I had sort of an intro to engineering class. That was my second math. And then I had chemistry 4, and then I had in English poetry / literature class. At the end of the year, you'll make a trust bridge out of popsicle sticks for your physics class, and then they'll test how many books can your trust bridge hold. Most bridges can only hold 4 to 6 books, and one of our teachers submitted his own bridge which held 50 books. There will be a poetry slam at the end of the year. You may or may not have a talent show depending on how many people want to do it. So the end of the year, they try to make it interesting, they try to make it fun, and try to get everybody together for the last events. And then you're done. You're doing the last few things, you're doing paperwork, you're getting out of there, and the next class is rolling right along. Good luck to the next class of 2019 prep school. Let me know down below if you're actually in the class of 2022. I want to know who my classmates will be. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.